P-47s came, 4 of them, and they rocketed and machine gunned the German positions, and then from there we were able to move forward.
You are about to embark upon the Great Crusade.
To meet this mounting aggression.
And make no mistake about it, good will prevail.
I was born in Pasadena, California in 1923. It was a nice, quiet neighborhood town, and it wasn't too big, but I went all through school in Pasadena, from kindergarten to upper division of Pasadena City College. It was a Sunday, and I was working at a produce and vegetable market in Pasadena I had to go to work. That was my Sunday to work, and it was terrible because you had to face all the people, that were coming in. They'd tell me how bad it was, which I knew it was, but I was very disappointed that Japan had bombed Pearl Harbor. In February of 1942, they put us into internment camp. Well, I wasn't too happy. I'm an American, and I didn't bomb Pearl Harbor, but the people where my parents came from, they're the ones that did it, but I'm an American, so I didn't feel too good. The first camps were not what they call relocation camp. They were just assembly centers. And so we were sent to a fairground in Tulare, California, and these barracks, they were just hastily put up barracks in the fairgrounds at Tulare, California. And we were there 3 months until the bigger camp was built. And once the bigger camp was built, we were sent to Arizona, 50 miles south of Phoenix. On the Pima Indian Reservation, we had 2 camps. Camp 1, I think, was 10,000. And then I was in camp number 2, which had capacity of 20,000. I was in 2 years, and then they came up with a loyalty questionnaire. Would you forswear all allegiance to Japan, and would you fight for America, that type of question? And I answered all that I would fight for the U.S. Later on, I forgot when it was, but I was drafted. They started drafting, and I was in the first group. A month later, my brother was also drafted, and we both ended up in the 442nd. I went to training in Florida, Camp Blanding, Florida, which was 50 miles west of Jacksonville. And that was 17 weeks. And then from there, they sent us to Camp Shelby, Mississippi. We were there 2 days, and then they sent us on a 10-day furlough. We went back to camp to see my mom, and then when we went back, we were there a couple of days, and then they shipped us overseas. We went to Europe in October of 1944. And we joined the outfit, the 442nd, about a week and a half after they had rescued the Lost Battalion in the Vosges Mountains in eastern France. It was, in France, I didn't see any combat at all because the 442 had just rescued the Lost Battalion, so the regiment was kind of beat up, and so they sent us to southern France for 4 months, and all we did was guard the border of Italy and France, and we were on the French side. And the closest town just below us was Menton, and it's right on the border of Italy and France. And we stayed there 4 months on the mountain. Well, after we were there 4 months, they pulled us back, and they loaded us on LSTs and took us to Italy. And so General Mark Clark wanted the 442 back in Italy to break the Gothic Line. And while we were gone, they weren't able to break it, and so he requested the 442. So we were all loaded on LSTs and sent us back to Italy, and for the sole purpose of breaking the Gothic Line, which we did on April the 5th. For me, in the Army, like we had three rifle platoons in a company, and you put two platoons on line, and one is held in reserve. And I was in first platoon, and our first platoon was held in reserve, so we're back away, so we didn't even get to shoot Sadao Munamori. We call him Spud because he liked potatoes so much. But anyway, a second platoon, they were right on line, and two of his buddies were sitting in this big crater, and the Germans were throwing grenades at us, at them, not me, but one of the grenades fell in that crater where his two buddies were. And so to save them, Sadao, or Spud, jumped on this grenade, and it killed him, but it did save his two buddies. One day we finally busted the line. In fact, they had called for air support, and that was a very pretty sight because the P-47s came, 4 of them, and they rocketed and machine gunned the German positions, and then from there we were able to move forward and keep going. 4 or 5 days later, my squad was along a ridge, and we were being shot at, but we couldn't even see the enemy because Germans had smokeless powder, and the fellas shooting at us were in the woods, and we couldn't even see them. But we kind of shot back at what we thought was where they were. But when we started shooting back, they quit shooting, and they just took off.
How did you find out about the German surrender in Europe?
You know, bombers flew over and dropped the Stars and Stripes, which is the Army newspaper. War over in Europe. Wow, what a happy day. You got points for every month of service in the States and overseas. And some of our, I think I only had 58 points, which was not enough. But some of our older fellows that had been the original 100, they had like over 100 points, and so they were. In fact, I had heard that some of our very first guys. Well, to start out, go back a little ways, when the war ended, the whole regiment ended up in a Gedi airfield in Italy. And from there, I heard a few of our original 100th guys were flown home. That's what I heard. I'm not sure. But we had so few points, we had to stay in Italy and just guard prisoners for over a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So when you did eventually get home, how were you treated?
Well, I'm from Pasadena, but being in camp, my two sisters moved to Ohio. And so they called my mother out, and she was there. And so when we came home, we didn't come back to Pasadena. We came to Ohio. And so that's where I stayed for 5 years. Oh, I treated okay. Yeah, before the war, I had gone to junior college in Pasadena, and I had a 2-year mechanic course, and so I trained as a mechanic, and so I got a job in what they call a National Automotive Parts Association store, and I worked in their machine shop, like building engines and doing related things, concerning cars.
What are you most proud of from your time in service?
I'm just glad that I was able to serve and got to come back alive.